It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman. I'm Bruce Howard, joined by the head coach. And, well, last time we talked about the UConn game and how well your team played and how hard they fought, and you continued that momentum, winning on the road at UCF. Nice job.
Yeah, we kind of went through that gauntlet of going to USF, playing Temple at home, and then having UConn at home. Those are right now the top three teams in the league, and so we really felt like if we could get through those three games, and then get to a game where the playing field was a little bit more even. We felt like if we just kept our confidence during that time, because we felt like we were playing well. We were moving the ball offensively, defensively we're getting stops, we're rebounding with teams. And so to go to Central Florida and be able to almost lead that entire game. I mean, we led for a big part of that game. And I felt like that was a big confidence booster for our team, and I also felt like it showed the progress that we had made really since Christmas break.
And getting the 58 you got against UConn, did that help you offensively kind of roll into UCF and get 73? I mean, it seemed like you were more confident offensively even coming out of the UConn game.
I think so. We felt like we moved the ball well against UConn. It's hard to attack them because they're so big inside, so the plan was just to move the ball side to side, and when we got an open look to take it, and fortunately against UConn we did knock down some shots. And then we go into Central Florida and we shoot 49% for the game. 2 quarters we shot 50% plus. So I felt like that continued into the UCF game. Felt like our ball movement continued. Some of our inside-outside stuff continued. We finally got to the free throw line. It really took us till the first half. We shot 0 free throws. And then up until the 3:40 mark to the end of the game, we had shot 5. So then Erica Wakefield got a lot of her points against UCF by simply going to the line. I think she goes 10 for 12, and all of it was in the last few minutes of the game.
And you shoot 8 of 16 from 3, so you're starting to get, as you mentioned, that inside-outside game going and some rhythm outside the arc.
Yeah, we hit, I think, 13 threes against UConn, and then come back and hit the 8 threes against UCF. Ebony Parker was big in that game. She goes 5 for 10 from 3-point. Shakey Dixon was really good in that game. She goes 2 for 4. And then Erica goes 1 for 1. And those are only 3 guys that really even attempted a 3-point shot. But for those guys to shoot 50%, that's really good for our team.
And Shakey Dixon is really starting to play well for you. What is she doing now? And obviously experience is part of this, but what is she doing now that maybe she wasn't really comfortable doing before?
Well, I think the game has slowed down for her, and that's the thing when you're a freshman. You're not used to the physicalness of the game. You're not used to the pace of the game. And really, you're not used to the pace of the game for such a long, extended period of time. And I think that affects you mentally when you're young and you don't know what to expect. But I think we've seen a different Shakey Dixon since we came back from Christmas. And that's always the hope, that they get 5 or 6 days off and then everything kind of soaks in, and now things have slowed down. And I think that's the case for Shakey. Things have just slowed down for her, and she understands more about, if I move the ball, it'll come back to me. Where early in the year it was like it would sometimes stick in her hands, and she's been really good about. There was maybe the UCF game where she led us in points and also led us in assists. I mean, she's had a couple of games like that where she scored in double digits, but she's also had a lot of assists.
Yeah, 22 points and 5 assists for Shakey Dixon. What about defensively? Did you play pretty well defensively in Orlando?
Yeah, we were okay. We limited them to 36%. They didn't come in as a great field goal shooting team anyway, but I felt like we were able to mix up our zone and our man-to-man. We were able to press at some different spots, and I felt like that was effective for us.
And obviously, we'll look at that in the next segment, but a good win on the road, what's that do for your confidence and now moving up the standings and all that? I mean, it was a good time to come up with a big win, wasn't it?
It was. We talked before the game about there were, I think, 5 or 6 teams that all had 1 win in the conference, and so we felt like going against one of those teams, Actually, Central Florida had just picked up their second win, but it gave us a little bit of separation. So now, instead of this big log jam for fifth or sixth place, now I think we're in sixth place, and we only share that with SMU. And then there's several people behind us. But we have to maintain that now. You know, there's still a lot of games left, and we just have to keep doing the best job we can and try to win as many as we can.
Well, and for the Hurricane, a road trip in the middle of the week at Tulane, and then TU comes back home on Saturday against SMU. We'll talk about that coming up next on Coach's Corner.
We are American. We are the spark that ignites. Dazzling, brilliant, intense. We are plugged in with the volume turned up all the way. Because on this court, on any given night, the energy of 5 becomes the power of 1. That's power. We are power.
We're back on Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman. And coaches, as we mentioned before going to break, you know, your team getting that second win was big because now you're kind of up on the top of that log jam, if you will, tied for sixth place, and that's a good thing.
That is. You know, this is such a tough league, and we play the top 3 teams twice, and some teams don't get to play them twice. And so it's really going to make a difference in the standings, I think, at the end of the year, because when you look at how you did against the top 3 teams versus how some other teams did, we're going to have 6 games against those guys, and there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that only have 3 games and possibly 4 games against those guys. So we really have to be solid in every game, but especially what those games that don't that aren't against one of the top 3 teams.
And speaking of a team that's ahead of you a little bit, you have a game in New Orleans midweek on Wednesday against Tulane. Always seems to be a great matchup, Tulsa and Tulane. And they're a team that if you can get them on the road, that would be really even bigger than the UCF win, right?
Yeah, and you talk about standings. Tulane is 3-3. And that's a little bit deceiving because their 3 losses are to the big 3.
Right.
Losses to UConn, lost to South Florida, and lost to Temple. So it's a little bit deceiving to look at their record. But Tulane's very solid. They're always a very well-coached team. They're led by Leslie Vorpal and Kelby Morgan, who Kelby is like one of the most efficient scorers in the country. I mean, she's up in the 96th percentile, and Vorpal is in the top 90th percentile in terms of efficiency in delivering the ball to shooters, and most of that's to Kelby Morgan. So those 2 guys are really efficient. They play off each other really well. They really make that team go.
And then Saturday, no matter what happens in the Tulane game, Saturday's game against SMU becomes big because coming into the week, both teams coming in at 2-4 in the league. So Saturday at 7 o'clock at the Reynolds Center is a big-time game against SMU.
It is, and I think we traded wins last year, and you know, their size always presents a problem to us, but obviously with their proximity to us, it's kind of one of our rivalry games, if you will. So, you know, it's a big week for us, 1 on the road, 1 at home.
So get your tickets to the SMU game on Saturday, 918-631-GO-TU or TulsaHurricane.com. Coach, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thank you.
And that's it for Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman. I'm Bruce Howard. So long for now.